Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. Phoenix, watching the stars through the main window. His ship was 3 days out from Earth, heading toward the Kepler system to check on the mining stations there. It was supposed to be a routine mission. Nothing special. Just another day in space. That changed when his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," she said. "It's a transmission, but it's not coming from any human ship or station. The signal is massive, sir. I've never seen anything like it." Jake walked over to her station, put it on the main screen. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge go quiet. A tall, alien figure stood in what looked like a command center. The creature had gray skin, 4 arms, and eyes that glowed with a cold blue light. When it spoke, its voice was translated into perfect English by some kind of advanced technology. "I am High Commander Vexthari of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said. "We have watched your species spread across these star systems like a disease. You build your colonies and ships without permission. You mine resources that belong to the Empire. This ends now." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. First contact with aliens was something humans had dreamed about for centuries. But this wasn't the peaceful meeting they had hoped for. "We offer you one chance," Vexthari continued. "Your species will submit to Imperial rule. You will surrender all military ships and weapons. Your colonies will serve the Empire as tribute worlds. You have 30 of your days to comply. If you refuse, we will destroy every human world, every human ship, and every human life in the galaxy." The transmission cut to show massive alien ships floating in space. Each one was at least 10 times bigger than the largest human battleship. Their hulls were black metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed along their sides. Jake counted at least 50 of the giant ships, and the transmission suggested there were thousands more. "To show you we are serious," Vexthari said, "observe." 3 of the alien ships moved toward a small moon. Bright beams of energy shot from their weapons. The moon cracked and broke apart, then turned to dust in seconds. The power was beyond anything humans had ever seen. 30 days, Vexthari repeated. "Choose wisely." The transmission ended. The bridge was silent for a long moment. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command," Jake said quietly. "Priority Alpha. Tell them we have a code black situation." Lieutenant Kin's hands shook as she worked at her station. "Sir, that transmission wasn't just sent to us. It went out on all frequencies, to every human world and ship in known space." Jake nodded. He had expected that. The aliens wanted to make sure every human heard their ultimatum. On Earth, President Lisa Martinez sat in the emergency meeting room deep under the White House. Around the table were the most important people. In human space, military leaders, scientists, and government officials. Everyone had seen the alien transmission. Everyone knew what it meant. "The question is simple," said Admiral Ben Collins, head of the Space Defense Force. "Do we fight or do we surrender? Fight?" General Pat Wilson laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Did you see those ships? Did you see what they did to that moon? We have maybe 200 combat ships in our entire fleet. They have thousands, and each one could probably destroy our entire Navy." Dr. Amy Rogers, head of Earth's Experimental Physics Division, cleared her throat. "Maybe not," she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She was a small woman with gray hair and thick glasses, but she was also the smartest person in the room. "I've been studying the transmission," she continued. "Their ships are big and powerful, yes. But big ships have weaknesses. They're slow. They can't change direction quickly. They seem to rely on heavy armor and shields rather than speed or maneuverability." "So what are you suggesting?" President Martinez asked. hit-and-run tactics. Dr. Rogers said, "Small, fast ships that strike hard and disappear before the enemy can respond. We can't match their firepower, but we might not need to. My team has been working on new engine designs, new weapons. If we had time to build them—" "We have 30 days," the president said. "It's not enough time to build a fleet, but it might be enough to build hope," Dr. Rogers replied. Admiral Collins shook his head. "You're talking about going to war with an empire that has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. An empire that just demonstrated they can destroy moons like we swat flies. This is suicide." "Maybe," said President Martinez. "But what's the alternative? Slavery? Watching human children grow up as servants to alien masters? Never being free to explore the stars or build our own future?" She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of Washington spreading to the horizon. Millions of people living their lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. "I want options," she said. "Dr. Rogers, how quickly can you get me a prototype of these new ships?" "Admiral Collins, I want to know exactly what ships and personnel we have available." "General Wilson, start evacuation plans for our outer colonies. If we're going to fight, we need to protect our civilians." "Ma'am," Admiral Collins said carefully, "are you really considering rejecting their ultimatum?" President Martinez turned back to face the room. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were hard as steel. "I'll give you my answer in the form of our response to the Empire," she said. "Humanity does not kneel." 3 hours later, every human in the galaxy received a message from Earth. It was short and simple, broadcast on all frequencies so the aliens would hear it too. "To the Zephyrian Empire, we have received your ultimatum. After careful consideration, the United Colonial Government of Earth provides the following response. No, humanity will not submit. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not bow to tyranny. If you want our worlds, come and take them. But know this, we will make you pay for every inch of ground, every ship, every life. We are human, and we do not surrender." The message was signed simply, President Lisa Martinez, speaking for all of humanity. Across human space, people heard the message and made their own choices. Some packed their belongings and tried to run to the inner systems. Others reported to military recruitment centers. Parents hugged their children tighter. Soldiers checked their weapons. On the bridge of the Phoenix, Captain Jake Morrison smiled grimly as he heard the president's message. "Well, crew," he said to his officers, "looks like we're going to war. I hope everyone's ready for the fight of our lives." Lieutenant Kim looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting movement from those alien ships. They're spreading out, heading toward human colonies." "Then we better get ready to show them what humans are made of," Jake replied. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed. Humanity's going to need every ship we have." The war was about to begin. The Empire's answer came 3 days later. Commander Pete Harrison was leading an evacuation mission at Kepler Station when the first alien ships appeared on his sensors. "How many people are left on the station?" Pete asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Roy Chun. "About 800, sir. Mostly miners and their families. The last transport is loading now." Pete looked at his tactical display. 3 massive alien ships were approaching fast. His small convoy of rescue ships couldn't fight them. They barely had any weapons at all. "Tell the transport to hurry," Pete said. "We have maybe 10 minutes before those ships get here." The radio crackled. "Commander Harrison, this is Kepler Station Control. We've got a problem. One of our transport ships broke down. Engine failure. There are still 200 people waiting to get off the station." Pete closed his eyes for a moment. 200 innocent people. Families. Children. He couldn't leave them behind. Roy, take the convoy and get those loaded transports out of here. Get them to safety. What about you, sir? I'm taking the Phoenix's luck back to the station. Someone has to buy time for those people. Roy Chon stared at him. Pete, that's suicide. Your ship has mining lasers and a cargo hold. Those alien ships could destroy a battleship. Maybe, but I can't live with myself if I don't try. The Phoenix's luck was an old cargo ship that Pete had commanded for 5 years. It wasn't much to look at, but it was fast and tough. He turned it around and headed back toward the station. Kepler Station, this is Commander Harrison. I'm coming. Back. Get those people loaded as fast as you can. Sir, the alien ships will be here in 6 minutes. Then we better work fast. Pete pushed his ship's engines to maximum power. Through the windows, he could see the station growing larger. It was a simple mining platform built around a large asteroid. Thousands of people had called it home. The last transport ship was still docked, taking on passengers. Pete could see people running across the station's loading bays, carrying bags and children. 5 minutes to alien contact, his navigation officer called out. How many more people? Pete asked the station. 50 left to load, sir. Pete's hands gripped the controls tighter. On his screen, he could see the alien ships. They were huge, dark shapes moving through space like metal sharks. Energy weapons were charging along their hulls. 4 minutes. 30 people left. Pete's ship reached the station. He could see families running for the last transport. Parents carrying sleeping children. Old miners helping each other walk. 3 minutes. Last group boarding now, sir. The alien ships were close enough now that Pete could see details on their hulls. Strange symbols glowed with blue light. Weapon ports opened like hungry mouths. Transport ship is clear of the station, came the radio call. Get out of here, fast as you can, Pete told them. Then he spoke to the station. Everyone off? Station is clear, Commander. All personnel evacuated. Pete looked at his tactical screen. The transport ship was moving away, but slowly. Too slowly. The alien ships would catch it easily. He made his decision. Station control, this is Commander Harrison. I'm going to try to buy you some time. Tell my wife I love her. Pete turned his ship toward the alien vessels. His cargo ship was tiny compared to them, like a mouse challenging 3 elephants. But sometimes a mouse could surprise an elephant. Activated his mining lasers and charged straight at the lead alien ship. His weapons were designed to cut through rock, not military armor, but they were all he had. The aliens seemed surprised by his attack. Their big ships started to turn, but they moved slowly, just like Dr. Rogers had predicted. Pete's lasers hit the first ship's hull. They didn't do much damage, but they got the aliens' attention. All 3 ships turned toward him, weapons charging. Come on then, Pete said to himself. Let's dance. He threw his ship into a wild series of turns and spins. The alien ships fired, but their weapons were designed for big, slow targets. Pete's ship was small and fast, and he knew how to fly it. Energy beams shot past his ship, missing by inches. Pete kept firing his lasers, hitting the alien ships wherever he could. He wasn't doing much damage, but he was making them angry. For 3 minutes, Pete played a deadly game of cat and mouse with the alien ships. His ship twisted and turned through space, dodging energy beams and missile attacks. Behind him, the transport ship was getting farther away. Then his luck ran out. An energy beam clipped his ship's engine. Alarms started screaming. His ship began to spin out of control. Engine 3 is down, his engineer called out. We're losing power. Pete fought with the controls. His ship was crippled, but still flying. The alien ships were moving in for this kill. Commander, The transport ship is away. They're safe. Pete smiled. 200 people would live because of what he had done. That was worth it. Good. Tell them to get word to Earth. Tell them the aliens are coming, and they're not playing games. The alien ships surrounded his crippled vessel. Pete expected them to destroy him immediately. Instead, they fired some kind of beam that grabbed his ship and pulled it toward them. "They're boarding us," his engineer said. Pete reached for his pistol. "Well, let's give them a proper human greeting." The first alien soldiers to board Pete's ship learned something important that day. Humans didn't surrender easily. Pete and his crew fought them hand to hand in the ship's corridors. They lost, but they made the aliens pay for every room, every hallway. When it was over, the aliens had taken prisoners, but they had also taken casualties. Several of their soldiers were dead or wounded. For creatures who expected easy victories, it was a shock. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Amy Rogers was working 18-hour days in her laboratory. The president had given her unlimited resources and the best engineers in human space. They had 26 days left. "Show me what you have," she said to her team. Engineer Sue Parker pointed to a holographic display. "We call it the Wildfire class. It's small, fast, and built around a single concept. Hit hard and run away." The ship on the display looked nothing like traditional human vessels. It was sleek and angular, more like a fighter plane than a spaceship. Weapons were built into its hull, and its engines were twice as large as normal. "How fast?" Dr. Rogers asked. 3 times faster than our current ships. Maybe 4 times if we push the engines to emergency power. Weapons? We're designing new missiles specifically for these ships. They're built to punch through alien shields and armor. Each Wildfire can carry 20 missiles. Dr. Rogers nodded. "How many can we build?" "With every shipyard in human space working." "Around the clock?" "Maybe 50 in 3 weeks." It wasn't many. The aliens had thousands of ships, but it was a start. "Do it," Dr. Rogers said, "and make sure the first one is ready for testing in 1 week." Across human space, the aliens continued. Their advance. They moved slowly, methodically destroying outer colonies and mining stations. They seemed to be in no hurry. Why should they be? They had all the time in the world, but they made a mistake. They assumed humans would react like other species they had conquered. They expected panic, surrender, chaos. Instead, they found determination. Colonists who could evacuate did so in good order. Those who couldn't began preparing defenses. Military ships began gathering in the inner systems. Weapons factories went to full production. Captain Jake Morrison reached Earth and immediately reported to Admiral Collins. "What did you see out there?" the Admiral asked. "Ships bigger than anything we have. Weapons that can destroy moons. But also something else." "What?" "They're slow, predictable. They move in formation like they're on parade." "I think Dr. Rogers is right. We can hurt them if we're smart about it." Admiral Collins looked at the tactical displays showing alien ships spreading across human space. "I hope you're right, Captain. Because if you're wrong, humanity is about to become extinct." The next few days brought more reports from the outer colonies. The aliens were systematic in their destruction. They would arrive at a human world, demand surrender, then destroy everything when they were refused. But something else was happening too. Word of Pete Harrison's sacrifice spread through human space. The story of how one cargo ship had saved 200 lives by fighting 3 alien battleships became a legend. Recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers. Factories worked day and night building weapons and ships. Families sent their young people to fight, knowing they might never see them again. President Martinez addressed the nation 20 days after the ultimatum. "My fellow humans," she said, The aliens think they know us. They think we're weak because we prefer peace. They think we'll surrender because the odds are against us. They're about to learn how wrong they are." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "We are human. We have survived ice ages and plagues. We have fought world wars and rebuilt from the ashes. We have reached for the stars despite every obstacle. And now, when faced with extinction, we will show these aliens what it means to threaten humanity." The broadcast ended with a simple message. Earth stands. Humanity endures. Come and take it. 10 days remained. Captain Sue Parker stood in the hangar bay, looking at her new ship. The UES Retribution was the first Wildfire-class vessel to roll off the production line, and it was beautiful in a deadly way. Sleek black hull, powerful engines, and enough weapons to make any alien think twice. "She's ready for her first mission," said Engineer Danny Walsh, wiping grease from his hands. "All systems are green." Sue nodded. Around the hangar, her crew was making final preparations. Weapons specialist Kate Johnson was loading missiles into the ship's launch tubes. Navigation Officer Tim Brooks was running last-minute checks on the new engines. 3 months had passed since the ultimatum. The aliens had taken half of human space, destroying colonies and killing millions. But they had also learned something they hadn't expected. Humans don't give up. "Captain Parker, you have incoming orders," her communications officer called out. Sue read the message on her tablet. Intelligence had located an alien supply convoy near Jupiter. It was protected by only 3 escort ships. Perfect target for the Retribution's first mission. "All right, people," Sue announced to her crew. "Time to see if these new ships work as advertised. We have aliens to kill." The Retribution launched from Earth's orbital shipyard 30 minutes later. Sue felt the power of the new engines as they accelerated away from the planet. This ship was fast. Faster than anything humans had ever built. "Time to target?" she asked Tim. 4 hours at current speed, Captain." Sue smiled. The old ships would have taken 12 hours to reach Jupiter. Dr. Rogers had been right about speed being their advantage. As they flew through space, Sue thought about the war so far. It had been brutal. The aliens showed no mercy to human colonies. Men, women, children, it didn't matter to them. They killed everyone who refused to surrender. But humans had learned to fight back. Small groups of resistance fighters were making life difficult for alien occupation forces on conquered worlds. Hit-and-run attacks on alien supply lines were becoming more common. The Empire was discovering that conquering humans was easier than controlling them. "Contact on sensors," Kate announced. 3 large ships and approximately 20 smaller vessels. That matches the intelligence report. Sue studied the tactical display. The alien convoy was moving slowly through the outer Jupiter system. The 3 escort ships were massive, but they were built for fighting other big ships, not small, fast attackers. "Battle stations," Sue ordered. "Remember the plan. We hit fast, hit hard, and get out before they know what happened." The Retribution approached the convoy from the dark side of one of Jupiter's moons. Their new stealth systems would hide them until the last moment. "Weapons range in 30 seconds," Kate reported. "Target the supply ships first," Sue said. "The escorts can't hurt us if they don't have anything to protect." The Retribution burst from behind the moon at full speed. Kate fired all 20 missiles at once, targeting the largest supply vessels in the convoy. The aliens were caught completely by surprise. Their sensors had been looking for big ships approaching slowly, not small ships moving at incredible speed. The missiles hit their targets before the aliens could even raise their shields. 3 supply ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. 2 more were crippled and spinning out of control. "Direct hits," Kate shouted. "Enemy convoy is in chaos." The alien escort ships were trying to turn toward the human ship, but they were too slow. Sue threw the Retribution into a sharp turn, using Jupiter's gravity to slingshot around the planet. "Second attack run," she announced. "Let's finish this." They came around Jupiter and attacked again. This time, Kate targeted the escort ships. The aliens had raised their shields, but Dr. Rogers had been right about human weapons. The new missiles punched right through alien defenses. One escort ship lost its engines and began drifting. The second was heavily damaged, fires burning along its hull. The third was trying to retreat, but it was too slow to escape. "Should we pursue, Captain?" Tim asked. "No, we've done enough damage. Let's go home." As the Retribution jumped to faster than light speed, Sue looked back at the destruction they had caused. One small human ship had destroyed an entire alien supply convoy. It was the first major victory of the war. Back on Earth, Dr. Rogers was analyzing the wreckage of an alien ship that had been captured during a battle near Mars. Her team had been working for weeks to understand alien technology. "Look at this," she said to her assistant, pointing to a strange device. "Their entire ship is controlled by this one computer. Everything runs through it." "What does that mean?" "It means they have a weakness. If we can disrupt their computer systems, we can disable their entire ship." Dr. Rogers had discovered something important. The aliens relied too heavily on technology. Their ships were automated, controlled by complex computer networks. But computers could be hacked, disrupted, confused. "We need to develop an electromagnetic pulse weapon," she told her team. "Something that can scramble their electronics without affecting our own ships." While Dr. Rogers worked on new weapons, Colonel Nick Adams was fighting a different kind of war on the occupied worlds. His Marines had been trapped on the colony world of New Texas when the aliens invaded. Instead of surrendering, they had gone underground. "Target is the alien supply depot," Nick told his squad. "They're storing weapons and food there. If we destroy it, their garrison will be in trouble." His Marines were hidden in the ruins of what used to be New Dallas. The aliens had bombed the city from orbit, but they hadn't bothered to check if everyone was dead. Big mistake. Nick's team moved through the rubble like ghosts. They had learned to avoid alien patrols, to strike when the enemy least expected it, to disappear before reinforcements could arrive. The supply depot was guarded by 20 alien soldiers. They stood in neat formations, scanning the area with their advanced sensors. But their sensors were designed to detect ships and large groups of enemies. They couldn't find a small group of humans who knew how to hide. Nick's Marines attacked at dawn. They used human weapons modified with alien technology they had captured. Explosives that could penetrate alien armor. Rifles that fired bullets fast enough to break through alien shields. The attack lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, the supply depot was burning and all 20 alien guards were dead. Nick's team had suffered no casualties. "Another successful mission," said Sergeant Lisa Bell, Nick's second in command. "But they're going to bring more troops." "Let them," Nick replied. "The more troops they send to hunt us, the fewer they have to attack other human worlds." This was happening all across occupied space. Human resistance fighters were making the aliens pay for every world they conquered. The Empire had expected to rule through fear and superior technology. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each defeat. Admiral Ben Collins watched the reports coming in from across human space. The new wildfire ships were winning battles everywhere they went. The electromagnetic pulse weapons were proving effective against alien computer systems. Resistance fighters were keeping enemy forces busy on occupied worlds. "We might actually have a chance," he said to President Martinez during their daily briefing. "Don't get overconfident," the president warned. "We've won some battles, But the war is far from over. They still have thousands of ships. We have maybe 100 wildfires operational. True, but their ships aren't as invincible as we thought. And our people are proving that humans can adapt faster than aliens can. The president nodded. Reports from the front lines were encouraging. Human pilots were learning to exploit every weakness in alien ship design. Human soldiers were developing new tactics that confused and frustrated alien commanders, but the cost was high. Millions of humans had died. Entire worlds had been destroyed. The outer colonies were gone, their populations dead or scattered. The real test was coming. Intelligence reports suggested the aliens were massing a huge fleet for an attack on the Azak inner systems. If they reached Earth, Mars, and the other core worlds, humanity would be finished. How many ships can we put together for the defense of Earth? The president asked. Every operational vessel we have. Maybe 200 combat ships, plus civilian vessels converted to carry weapons. It wasn't enough. The alien fleet reportedly contained over 1,000 ships. But it was all humanity had. Send word to all our ships, President Martinez said. Tell them to fall back to Earth. If we're going to make our last stand, we'll do it here, at home. Admiral Collins stood up. Now, there's something else. Captain, Parker's mission was more successful than we initially thought. The convoy she destroyed wasn't just carrying supplies. It was carrying parts for a new type of alien weapon. Something they call a planet killer. The president felt cold. Planet killer? A weapon that can destroy entire worlds from orbit. According to the intelligence we gathered, they were planning to use it on Earth if we continued to resist. Were planning? Past tense? Captain Parker's attack delayed their construction schedule. We estimate they won't have the weapon ready for at least another month. President Martinez smiled grimly. Then we better make sure this war is over before then. Across human space, ships began moving toward Earth. Every captain, every crew member knew what was coming. The final battle was approaching. Win or lose, it would decide the fate of humanity. Captain Sue Parker receive. The alien fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like a dark cloud. Admiral Ben Collins stood on the bridge of the UES Victory, watching his screens fill with enemy contacts. Over 1,000 alien ships moving in perfect formation toward Earth. My God, whispered his tactical officer. There are so many of them. Collins nodded grimly. The human defense fleet had 200 ships, most of them the new Wildfire-class vessels. Against 1,000 alien battleships, it seemed hopeless. But humans had learned not to fight fair. Signal all ships, Collins ordered. Execute plan. Delta. Small units, hit and run tactics. Don't try to slug it out with their big ships. Captain Sue Parker received the order aboard the Retribution. Around her, 50 other Wildfire ships prepared for the most important battle in human history. Remember what we learned, she told her squadron leaders over the radio. Fast attacks, then retreat. Make them chase us through the asteroid belt. Use the rocks for cover. The alien fleet was massive and impressive, but it had a weakness. Ships were designed to fight other large fleets in open space. They expected their enemies to line up and trade shots like ancient sailing ships. Humans had different ideas. The first attack came from nowhere. 20 Wildfire ships burst out of the shadow of Mars, moving at full speed. They fired their missiles and disappeared before the aliens could respond. 12 alien ships were destroyed. In the first 30 seconds of battle, they fell for it, Captain Parker reported. The entire alien fleet is turning toward Mars. They're taking the bait. This was exactly what Admiral Collins wanted. The aliens were predictable. When attacked, they responded with overwhelming force. But in space, overwhelming force meant nothing if you couldn't catch your enemy, The alien fleet chased the human ships toward the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It was dangerous territory, full of floating rocks and debris, perfect for an ambush. Phase 2, Collins announced. Spring the trap. Hidden among the asteroids were 100 human ships, waiting in silence. As the alien fleet entered the belt, chasing the wildfire ships, they found themselves surrounded. Captain Frank Turner commanded the UES Vengeance, the newest and most powerful ship in the human fleet. His vessel was built around Dr. Rogers' latest weapon, a beam that could crack alien armor like an eggshell. Target acquired, his weapons officer reported. Enemy flagship, range 2,000 kilometers. Fire, Turner ordered. The Vengeance's main gun fired a pulse of pure energy. It hit the alien flagship's hull and burned straight through. The massive ship broke in half, spilling atmosphere and debris into space. All around the asteroid belt, human ships opened fire. The aliens found themselves fighting on 100 different fronts at once. Their big ships couldn't maneuver properly in the tight spaces between asteroids. Their formation flying became a disadvantage when rocks blocked their movement. But the aliens were not helpless. They had superior numbers and firepower. Slowly, they began to adapt to human tactics. "We're losing ships," reported Captain Parker. "The aliens are learning to split their forces. They're trying to surround us." Admiral Collins watched the battle unfold on his tactical display. The humans were winning, but at a terrible cost. For every alien ship destroyed, they lost one of their own. With the numbers so uneven, humanity would run out of ships first. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "I'm receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. They want to talk." Collins was surprised. The aliens had never tried to negotiate before. "Put them on screen." High Commander Vexthari appeared on the main display. The alien leader looked angry and frustrated. "Admiral Collins," Vexthari said, "your species fights well, but you cannot win. Surrender now, and we will allow your homeworld to survive. Continue fighting, and we will destroy everything." Collins stared at the alien commander. "You came to our space. You attacked our colonies. You killed our people. And now you want us to surrender because we're fighting back too hard? Your resistance is pointless," Vexthari replied. "We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. Your species has existed in space for barely 300. Submit to the natural order. Here's our answer," Collins said. He nodded to his weapons officer. The Victory fired every missile it had at Vexthari's ship. The alien commander's image disappeared as his vessel took heavy damage. "All ships," Collins announced in the fleet frequency. "The aliens want us to surrender. I say we give them more of what we've been giving them." "Attack!" the battle raged. For 6 more hours, human ships darted between asteroids, striking fast and disappearing. Alien ships tried to corner them, but the humans knew the asteroid belt better. They had mapped every rock, every hiding place. Captain Sue Parker's squadron found itself facing 3 alien cruisers near a large asteroid. The enemy ships had superior firepower, but Parker had a plan. "Danny, take us behind that big rock," she ordered her pilot. "Kate, prepare missiles for close-range attack." The Retribution disappeared behind the asteroid. The alien ships split up, trying to find it. That was their mistake. Parker's ship came around the asteroid at full speed, directly between 2 of the alien vessels. At point-blank range, Kate fired. Every missile the ship carried. Both alien ships exploded. The third tried to retreat, but it was too slow. The Retribution's guns finished it off. 3 more down, Parker reported. "But we're running low on missiles." This was becoming a problem across the human fleet. The wildfire ships carried limited ammunition. Once they ran out, they would have to rely on smaller guns that couldn't penetrate alien armor. Dr. Rogers had anticipated this problem. Hidden in the asteroid belt were supply stations, disguised to look like ordinary rocks. Human ships could rearm and refuel without returning to Earth. All units proceed to Supply Point 7, Admiral Collins ordered. Rearm and prepare for the final phase. The aliens thought the humans were retreating. Vexthari regrouped his remaining ships and prepared for a final assault on Earth. He had lost nearly half his fleet, but he still had enough ships to destroy the human homeworld. What he didn't know was that humans had won. More surprise waiting. Colonel Nick Adams and his resistance fighters had been busy on the occupied worlds. They had captured alien communication, codes, and learned how to disrupt alien computer systems. Now they put that knowledge to use. Transmitting now, Nick reported from his hidden base. Uploading the virus to their command network. Dr. Rogers had created a computer virus specifically designed to attack alien ship systems. It spread through their communication networks like wildfire, infecting one ship after another. Suddenly, alien ships began losing power. Their weapons stopped working. Their shields failed. Some ships even fired on each other as their targeting systems went crazy. Now, Admiral Collins shouted, all ships, attack while they're helpless. The human fleet swarmed the disabled alien ships. Without their shields and weapons, the mighty alien battleships were helpless. Human missiles and energy beams tore through their hulls like paper dot. In 30 minutes, the alien fleet was destroyed. Only a few ships escaped, jumping away at faster-than-light speed. High Commander Vexthari's flagship was among the ships that tried to run. But Captain Turner and the Vengeance were waiting. "This is for every human world you destroyed," Turner said as he fired his ship's main gun. Vexthari's ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The alien commander, who had demanded humanity's surrender, was dead. Admiral Collins looked at his tactical display. The space around Earth was filled with debris from alien ships. Somehow, impossibly, humanity had won. "Casualties?" he asked quietly. 47. "Ships lost, sir? About 800 crew members." Collins nodded sadly. The price of victory had been high, but millions of humans were alive because of what those 800 had sacrificed. "Send a message to all human colonies," he ordered. "Tell them the alien fleet has been destroyed. Tell them Earth is safe. Tell them humanity endures." The Battle of Earth was over, but the war was just beginning. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, Captain Sue Parker stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Retribution, looking at a sight that would have been impossible to imagine when the war started. A massive fleet of human ships surrounded the alien homeworld of Zephyria Prime. "How many ships do we have now?" asked her weapons officer, Kate Johnson. "Over 500 combat vessels," Sue replied, "plus support ships from 12 different alien species that joined our alliance." The war had changed everything. After humanity's victory at Earth, other species throughout the galaxy had learned that the Empire could be beaten. Rebellions broke out on dozens of worlds. The Empire's iron grip on the galaxy was breaking. Admiral Ben Collins commanded the Allied fleet from his flagship. Around him, the bridge crew worked quietly, preparing for the final battle of the war. "Status report," Collins ordered. "All ships are in position," his tactical officer reported. "The aliens have about 200 ships defending their homeworld. They're dug in around the planet, using orbital defense platforms." Collins nodded. The Empire had pulled back all their remaining forces to protect their capital world. It was their last stand. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet. It's the new Imperial Council." Collins was surprised. Intelligence reports had suggested that High Commander Vexthari's death had caused chaos in the Empire's leadership. Apparently, someone new was in charge. put them on screen. The alien who appeared was different from Vexthari, smaller, with silver skin instead of gray. When she spoke, her voice was tired. "I am Counselor Zelani, now leader of what remains of the Zephyrian Empire," she said. "I wish to discuss terms of surrender." Collins exchanged glances with his senior officers. They had expected to fight a desperate battle for the alien homeworld. A surrender offer was unexpected. "What terms are you proposing?" Collins asked. "Complete withdrawal from all occupied worlds, dismantling of our military fleet, reparations to species we have wronged. In exchange, we ask only that our homeworld be spared destruction." Captain Sue Parker listened to the conversation from her ship. Part of her wanted to refuse the surrender. The aliens had killed millions of humans. They had destroyed entire colonies. They deserved to pay for their crimes. But another part of her was tired of war, tired of death, tired of seeing good people die in the cold darkness of space. "What do you think?" Admiral Collins asked his senior staff during a private conference. "It could be a trap," suggested General Pat Wilson. "They might be buying time to prepare some kind of super weapon." "Maybe," Collins replied. "But our intelligence suggests they're genuinely beaten. Their empire is falling apart. Half their subject species have already rebelled." Dr. Amy Rogers, now serving as the fleet's chief science advisor, had a different concern. "If we destroy their homeworld, we become no better than they were. We'll be the destroyers of civilizations." President Lisa Martinez joined the conference by secure communication link from Earth. She had aged 10 years during the war, but her voice was still strong. "What's your recommendation, Admiral?" she asked. Collins thought for a long moment. "I recommend we accept their surrender with conditions. Full reparations, war crimes trials for their military leaders, and permanent human oversight to ensure they never threaten anyone again." "Agreed," the president said. "But make it clear, this is their one chance. If they ever attack another species again, we'll finish what we started." The surrender ceremony took place on Zephyria Prime itself. Admiral Collins, Captain Parker, and other human commanders landed on the alien homeworld. It was the first time humans had set foot on the Empire's capital planet. The city was beautiful in an alien way. Tall spires of silver metal reached toward the sky. Strange gardens filled with plants that glowed with their own light. But there were also signs of war damage from the rebellion that had overthrown. Vexthari's government. Counselor Zelani met them at the landing pad. She was surrounded by other aliens, but they looked defeated rather than threatening. "Admiral Collins," she said, "I formally surrender the Zephyrian Empire to the Human-Allied Coalition. We accept your terms completely." Collins accepted the surrender document. It was written in both human and alien languages, specifying exactly what the Empire would do to make up for their crimes. "The war is over," he announced to both humans and aliens present. "Let's make sure it stays that way." Captain Turner of the Vengeance was part of the security detail for the ceremony. As he watched the aliens formally surrender, he thought about all the friends he had lost during the war. Good people who would never see this victory. But he also thought about the future. With the Empire defeated, a galaxy would be free for the first time in thousands of years. Species could develop their own governments, explore space, build their own futures. Colonel Nick Adams stood with other human military leaders during the ceremony. His resistance fighters had played a crucial role in the war, proving that occupied populations could fight back against oppression. "What happens now?" asked Sergeant Lisa Bell, his longtime second-in-command. "Now we go home," Nick replied. "And we make sure this never happens again." Dr. Rogers was already thinking about the future. The war had advanced human technology by decades. Faster ships, better weapons, improved computers. But she was more interested in peaceful applications. "We can use these technologies to explore the galaxy," she told her research team, "to make contact with new species, to learn and grow." The ceremony concluded with Admiral Collins speaking to representatives from dozens of species, both in person and by communication link. "Today marks the end of an empire built on fear and oppression," he said. "Tomorrow begins a new age built on cooperation and freedom. The galaxy belongs to all of us, not just the strongest." 6 months later, Captain Sue Parker was exploring a previously unknown star system when her ship detected signs of intelligent life. It was a young species, just beginning to develop space travel. "First contact protocols," she ordered her crew. "Let's do this right." The new species was curious and friendly, eager to learn about the wider galaxy. Sue smiled as she thought about how different this meeting was from humanity's first contact with aliens. "Welcome to the galactic community," she told them. "We have a lot to teach each other." The empire was gone, but its fall had taught the galaxy an important lesson. No single species had the right to rule over others. Freedom was something worth fighting for, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. On Earth, President Martinez delivered a speech marking the first anniversary of the Empire's surrender. "We didn't start this war," she said to the assembled crowd, "but we finished it, not through superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but through the simple refusal to give up. The aliens demanded submission. We responded with flame. And in the end, we showed the galaxy that freedom will always triumph over tyranny." The memorial behind her listed the names of every human who had died in the war. Thousands of names, representing thousands of stories of courage and sacrifice, dotted the top of the memorial. Carved in stone were the words that had become humanity's unofficial motto: "For every one of us you kill, we'll take 10 of you with us." But below those words, added after the war's end, was another inscription: "Better still, we all came home." Not everyone had come home, of course. Too many good people had died. But their sacrifice had ensured that humanity would endure, that freedom would survive, that no empire would ever again be allowed to dominate the galaxy through fear. The war was over. The empire had fallen. And across the galaxy, species that had been enslaved for millennia were finally free to determine their own destinies. Humanity had responded to the empire's ultimatum with flame. But in the end, they had also responded with mercy, choosing to build a better future rather than simply destroy their enemies. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly how humans wanted it.